Welcome to the Quantum Soul. What if everything you know is just the beginning? Like, what if reality is way grander and more interconnected than we could ever imagine?
That would be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Today, we're diving deep into a text that kind of combines science and philosophy and even mythology
Oh, wow.
to explore this idea of a conscious universe.
Oh, that's fascinating. It really is a fascinating concept. Like, the universe isn't just a bunch of lifeless stuff, but it's like a living
Yeah.
thing with awareness.
Yeah, and the text we're looking at uses this really interesting analogy.
Okay.
It asks us to imagine the universe as like a giant smartphone with an infinite network.
Oh, like a cosmic internet connecting everything.
Yeah.
That's cool. And you know, that idea isn't totally new. Like ancient civilizations like the Egyptians and Indians,
Oh, yeah.
they viewed the cosmos as like a living organism.
Right?
And they saw a really deep connection between us and the stars.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, they believed in this like universal intelligence that was in everything.
It's amazing how those ancient beliefs actually line up with some of the stuff we're discovering now with modern physics,
Yeah.
especially quantum mechanics.
Oh, absolutely. Quantum physics has really challenged that old kind of mechanistic view of the universe.
Right.
And it suggests that consciousness might be like a key player in shaping reality.
So one of the most mind-blowing concepts in quantum physics is this thing called the observer effect.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that just by looking at something, you can change how it behaves.
Yeah, it's wild. Like a classic example is the double slit experiment.
Right.
It shows that particles like electrons can be in multiple states at once.
Okay.
Kind of like a wave of possibilities. But then when you try to see which slit the electron goes through, it's like it suddenly chooses one state and acts like a normal particle.
So before we look, it's like the electron is both a wave and a particle.
Yeah.
And then when we look, we force it to choose.
That's basically it. Like our consciousness is somehow involved in collapsing that wave function
Wow.
and making one specific reality happen.
That is wild. And this brings us to physicist Eugene Wigner,
Okay.
who suggested that human consciousness is actually what collapses the quantum wave function.
Wigner's ideas are really something. So the quantum wave function basically describes all the possible states of a particle.
Okay.
It's not that the particle is everywhere at once, but that it exists in all these states at the same time.
Right.
Like a blurry cloud of possibilities, and then somehow observation makes one of those possibilities real.
Okay. I think I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
But this brings up a big question.
Yeah.
What even is consciousness, and how does it have this power?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. Science is still trying to figure that one out.
Right.
But some scientists think consciousness might be a fundamental property of the universe,
Oh, wow.
like gravity or electromagnetism. And this connects to the idea of a unified field.
Like a cosmic glue holding everything together. Einstein spent a lot of time trying to find a single theory that would explain all the forces in the universe.
Exactly. And if we take that idea even further, some researchers think that this unified field might actually be a field of pure consciousness.
Whoa, are you saying the universe itself is conscious?
It's an interesting idea, and it leads to this theory called panpsychism,
Okay.
which says that consciousness is in everything.
Everything.
Yeah, from the tiniest particles to entire galaxies, not just humans or animals.
Hold on. So you're saying a rock have consciousness?
Well, it's not that a rock has the same kind of consciousness as a person.
Oh,
It's
well.
more like a spectrum of awareness. Every particle, every atom, every living thing has some level of consciousness,
Right.
and it's all connected.
If you're liking this cosmic journey so far, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this deep dive with your fellow universe explorers.
Now imagine the universe is like a huge lake.
Yep.
Every individual consciousness, whether it's a human, a tree, or a star, is like a drop of water in that lake.
I like that.
We may seem separate on the surface, but we're all connected deep down.
All part of the same source.
Exactly. Yeah, that lake analogy is really helpful for picturing this whole interconnected consciousness thing.
It is. But if consciousness is like woven into the universe, how does it actually talk? Like, how does it show up?
That's where things get even more interesting. A lot of scientists and thinkers believe that vibration and frequency might be the language of the cosmos. You know, Nikola Tesla, that brilliant inventor,
Oh,
he famously said, If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
So everything is vibrating at a certain frequency.
Exactly. Think about like a violin.
Okay.
When the strings vibrate, they make those sound waves that we hear.
Right.
It's kind of like that with every particle in the universe.
Wow.
Each one's like a tiny vibrating string with its own frequency,
Okay.
all playing together in this grand cosmic symphony.
I love it, a cosmic orchestra with every particle playing its part. But how do those vibrations actually create like the structures we see, like galaxies, stars, planets, even life?
That's the question that's fascinated people for ages. But what we're starting to understand is that when these vibrations like harmonize, when they resonate with each other, they create patterns and structures.
Okay.
And ultimately the complexity we see in the universe.
So harmony and resonance are key for creating order out of chaos. That makes me think of Om in Eastern philosophies.
Yeah.
It's often described as like the primordial sound of the universe.
Right.
The vibration that underlies everything.
You've made a really important connection there. Ancient wisdom and modern science are often exploring the same ideas, but from different angles.
Yeah.
This idea of a fundamental vibration behind reality keeps popping up. But if all this is true, where does the human mind fit into this cosmic orchestra?
Right. We know our brains are super complex.
Yeah.
Billions of neurons firing all the time.
Yeah.
But what if our brains aren't actually the source of consciousness? What if they're more like receivers, tuning into this universal field of consciousness?
Now that's a fascinating theory.
Yeah.
It's called the brain as a receiver.
Okay.
And it suggests that our brains are kind of like antennas picking up signals from this universal field of consciousness.
So instead of being isolated, our minds are like inlets connected to this vast ocean of consciousness.
Precisely. And those moments we experience as intuition or deja vu or even vivid dreams, those could be glimpses into this universal field.
Wow.
Times when the signal is really strong.
This whole idea of the brain as a receiver makes me think about nature and the patterns we see everywhere, like what's called sacred geometry.
Yeah.
From a galaxy to a seashell, these recurring patterns seem to follow some kind of universal math.
You're right to connect those ideas. Sacred geometry is all about seeing those patterns and mathematical principles in the universe.
Okay.
Things like the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio fractals.
Right.
They suggest that the universe isn't random.
Right.
There's some intelligence, some order that points to a deeper connection.
It's like seeing a spider web.
Okay.
Perfectly symmetrical. It's a simple structure, but it shows the intelligence of the spider.
Exactly. It's a beautiful analogy. In the same way we can see the cosmos as this intricate web organized by something beyond our understanding. But we can't talk about consciousness without talking about space-time.
Right. Einstein blew everyone's minds with his theory of relativity.
Oh, yeah.
Showing that space and time aren't fixed, but they can bend and warp.
Right.
Like a cosmic trampoline with stars and planets distorting it.
That's a good way to visualize it. And some physicists, like Nassim Haramein, have even suggested that space-time itself might be like the membrane that holds all the information of the universe.
So it's not just empty space. It's full of information that connects everything.
That's the idea. And this links to the concept of holography.
Okay.
Where every part of the universe has information about the whole.
Right.
Like think of a hologram. Even a tiny piece can recreate the entire image.
So even our little human consciousness could hold reflections of the whole cosmos. This is getting pretty mind-blowing.
It really is. But this brings us back to a really important question. If consciousness connects everything, what does that mean for us as humans? How should we live our lives knowing this?
Yeah, that's the big question everyone's thinking about. We've covered so much.
We have.
But it all comes down to how we use these ideas in our lives.
And that's what we'll explore in the last part of our deep dive. We'll look at how this understanding of interconnectedness can change our relationships, our approach to healing, and even how we explore the cosmos.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the quantum soul.
Yeah.
We've gone from like the tiny world of quantum physics to this ancient wisdom of interconnectedness.
It's been a journey.
Exploring this crazy idea that consciousness could be the fabric of the universe.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride. We talked about how just observing something might change reality.
Right.
And how vibration and frequency could be the language of the cosmos.
Yeah.
And how our brains might be like receivers tuned into a universal consciousness.
It's a lot to process, but it all comes down to this.
Yeah.
How do we live with this understanding?
That's the real question, isn't it?
Like, how does knowing all this change our everyday experience?
I think the first change is in how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
We start to see that we're not just isolated individuals,
Right.
but like threads in this huge tapestry of existence.
It's like we're not just looking at the tapestry.
Yeah.
We're part of the design.
Exactly. And that can change how we interact with the world, with each other, even with ourselves.
So it's not just about abstract ideas.
No.
It's about how we live, how we treat each other, how we care for the planet.
Absolutely. If we really get that we're all connected,
Yeah.
that our thoughts and actions have an effect on everything,
Right.
it can make us live with more compassion, empathy, and responsibility.
It's like compassion and environmentalism aren't just nice ideas.
Right.
They're essential for being in harmony with the universe.
Exactly.
But how do we actually live that way?
Right.
Like, it's so easy to get caught up in everyday life and forget the bigger picture.
You're right. That's where mindfulness and meditation can be really helpful.
Okay.
They help us to be more present, more aware of our thoughts and feelings, and more connected to the energy around us.
It's like pausing the autopilot of life.
Yeah.
And remembering that we're part of something bigger.
Exactly. And meditation especially can quiet our minds and help us connect to something beyond ourselves.
Why? So it's not just about understanding these ideas in our heads.
No.
It's about experiencing them
Yeah.
through practices that connect us to something larger.
Right.
Are there other ways to cultivate that feeling of interconnectedness?
Definitely. Spending time in nature is really powerful.
Okay.
Like, look at a flower or feel the vastness of the ocean or stare at the stars.
Right.
It can create this sense of awe and wonder that connects us to the universe.
It's about finding stillness,
Yeah.
where we reconnect with the source of our being,
Right.
with that universal consciousness that flows through all of us.
Exactly.
But there's still something I'm wondering about. If we're all connected and this universal consciousness is good and loving, why is there so much suffering?
That's a question that's bothered people forever.
Yeah.
There might not be easy answers,
Right.
but this understanding of interconnectedness might give us a different perspective.
Okay.
Maybe suffering is just part of being human.
All right.
It pushes us to grow.
Yeah.
It reminds us that we're all vulnerable.
It's a tough concept, but it makes me think of that saying, we're all just walking each other home.
I like that.
We're all on this journey together through good times and bad, supporting each other.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And when we realize we're all connected, we see that everything we do matters, even small things.
Right.
Every act of kindness, every encouraging word, every effort to make the world better, it all contributes to the well-being of everyone.
It's like we're all in a giant orchestra, and we each have our own part to play.
Exactly. And the more we harmonize our individual melodies with the bigger symphony, the more beautiful the music becomes.
So bringing it back to the start of our deep dive, what if everything we know is just the beginning? What if this idea of a conscious, interconnected universe is just a glimpse of something way bigger than we can imagine?
It's an amazing thought, isn't it? Even if we don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
I think this understanding can change our lives,
Right.
fill us with awe and wonder,
Yeah.
and inspire us to live with more purpose and connection.
It's definitely expanded my mind.
Yeah.
And for anyone listening who wants to keep exploring life and consciousness,
Yeah.
there are 2 videos on the screen.
Click one and keep going.
There's a whole universe of knowledge out there.
There is.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the quantum soul.
It's been a pleasure.
Remember to subscribe, like, and share this episode with anyone who's ready to expand their perspective
Yeah.
and embrace the interconnectedness that unites us all.
Right.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep connecting.